What's up, everyone?
What's up?
We got some good news.
We do have some good news.
January 2023. What's going on?
All right, guys. We're running the biggest sale as of yet for LNT for our exercise and nutrition platform. So if you're looking for ongoing meal plans, exercise programs, personalized to your liking, we got 40% off. Okay.
Right now?
Yeah, 40% off.
Right now.
With the coupon, use the coupon SUMMER40 on our website, which we'll put down below. And let's get started, guys. Let's hit the ground running. Fit and strong, different you. We'll hold you accountable.
Let's do it.
Peace.
Everywhere. It's all around.
It's everywhere.
First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Happy New Year to all our followers.
Everyone. Happy New Year,
all
everyone.
Our watchers. Yeah, Happy New Year. Hopefully you had a good break with family, friends, made the most out of it.
Yep.
Had a few drinks, lots of food.
A lot of training.
I know I did. A lot of training. Tried to keep consistent, as consistent as you can.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, were you accountable? Did you maintain adherence?
Did you? Yeah, exactly, which is what we're talking about today. Adherence, accountability, what makes people stick to exercise and what makes people, fall off track.
Yep.
So welcome to the LNT Podcast. It's a lifestyle.
We're back for 2023 and we're looking forward to sharing our knowledge with everyone.
Super excited this year. We've got a lot of things coming up and we're looking to keep going with this podcast thing, looking to bring a few guests in maybe this year. So stay tuned. Lots of good things coming up.
Yep.
But yeah, today's topic I thought will be quite timely, and we had a bit of a look into it as well, and a little bit of research in terms of exercise, specifically exercise adherence, but I guess adherence to good habits in general.
Yep.
And what makes people tick, and because I mean, there's a widespread understanding that exercise is good for your health, right? Like there's no one you're going to talk to on the street that's going to tell you, no, it's bad for you.
Yep.
There's a widespread understanding. It's good for your health. It's got good health outcomes in every department you look at it in. But at the same time, with research suggests 50% of the population, if they subscribe or enter or start an exercise program, 50% around there will fall off within the first 6 months.
Yep. So that's your New Year's resolution goals.
Exactly.
We're looking at these people that sign up. Good intentions.
Yeah, good intentions. And there's a lot of motivational drive. And that's the initial, drive you get. Like, oh my God, I want this change.
Yep.
New year, new me.
Yep.
And you hit the ground running. You buy every single supplement there is on the supplement
There is. You buy that new outfit.
Yeah.
You're pumped. You're going to the gym.
And it drives you for that first initial period, right? And then you see the people, you see the gyms, memberships die down, the gyms get a bit more empty. And the same
old people that have been going year in and year out are still there.
And they're still there, and they're still there. And then next year you see the same pattern, a huge wave of motivation. And then boom, it just shuts down and dies down.
That's why I'm interested about this topic. Because there are strategies in place, but also the mindset and the background behind it of how to stay active.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we should actually discuss the elephant in the room. Why are we here today, Robin?
What?
There are people watching like, what's happened to their settings?
So literally why we're here is that we've lost our space for today, unfortunately.
Basically got kicked out.
Our sponsor.
Our office.
Ardish and Dapran.
Shout out Ardi and Dapran.
From ASAP Finance. Kicked us out. We weren't allowed to use their space today. And so we're here on my couch.
Yeah, which I kind of like. I think it's a bit of a casual.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, I guess we had a choice yesterday whether we were going to go through with this because that's when we heard the news. And we held each other accountable and here we are.
Yep. Well,
so I think to begin with this topic of adherence, I think it's good to understand why this pattern happens and why it's so hard to change. And it's a good thing to understand because it is evolutionary for us. Okay, us human beings, you've got a choice to make whenever you want to change something in life, right? It's about getting uncomfortable versus staying the same.
Yep.
That's the choice you
Yep.
have, right? Because in order to do something different, there is a phase or a period of time where you need to get a little bit uncomfortable, get outside your comfort zone.
Yep.
Okay? This is evolutionary because back in the hunter-gatherer days, the unknown, we had a natural fear of the unknown because back then the unknown can kill you, So you don't really delve into it. You stay safe, you keep your tribe, your family safe because damn near anything could kill you.
Yep.
And I think that's our instinct is still there, it's still intact. So whenever we get out of our comfort zone and we hit a few obstacles, a few barriers that are quite foreign to us, we tend to shudder and go back to that safe zone or safe haven for us, which is in reality it's that relapse.
Yeah.
If we're thinking about the stages of change, we'll put up that diagram up of you've got your pre-contemplation phase, which is the people basically not thinking about change at all, and usually you get those people near the end of the year, and this if we're talking about November, December, not thinking about it, and boom, something happens in January. You start contemplating in around December, maybe this new year, new changes, I'm going to make some changes. And then from that contemplation, you go through preparation, and then you end up making the change, right? Yep. What I really like about that diagram, though, is that it's said to be like an upward cycle, right? Because the last stage, or the last two stages of that cycle are maintenance. Okay, so when you've actually made that change, behavior change, maintenance, and then the last step is relapse, which is awesome, I think. When I was going through that, I think it's great because relapse is part of making a change. So just because you relapsed doesn't mean you failed, okay? The idea is to relapse and then repeat that cycle again.
Yep.
And hope that from each relapse you learn from it, and one relapse after another, it's not as bad as before, First relapse, it might be quite dreadful. Second relapse, maybe you're just missing one particular aspect or you're missing some trainings, as opposed to missing the whole training.
Yep. Or stopping completely.
Or stopping completely, yeah. Right? Like some behavioral changes you're relapsing, and it's a continuous upward spiral. You're going through that cycle time and time again, and you're getting better and better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the good thing that you've noted is that a relapse doesn't mean you've stopped. A relapse just means momentarily lapse in that moment. That's it. And then coming back to that cycle.
It is. It's a part of life, and it's part of that cycle, and don't feel disheartened. And a lot of people say weight loss, for example, they get off on the right track and they start losing weight, and then they get off a little bit or have a week or a weekend that goes off a little bit, and they check the weight on Monday and it's gone up a little bit, and they say, nah, I've blown it.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a cycle. The idea is to learn from it, see where you went wrong, pick back up again, and keep making those small incremental improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And
but there's a lot of strategies around it, right?
There is absolutely. There's a lot of strategies around trying to find some reward or a sense of accomplishment from the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. So it is uncomfortable to start off with, and it becomes uncomfortable for a bit. As you get used to it, it becomes better and better. So the idea is to find some sort of pleasure.
Yeah.
In that phase, and if you find that pleasure, it starts to become enjoyable, and it's easier for you to stick to.
Yep.
Right. And we know this from experience, don't we?
Man, there's a couple. They were actually talking about that cycle, right? This couple wanted to get into their health regime. They were 55 and had never stepped foot in a gym. And what was really interesting, I ended up having a bit of a formal interview with them beforehand to find out where they were in that cycle and this process. And they were transitioning from pre-contemplation to actually moving forward and wanting to commit. However, what was interesting, these are the exact words, is fear of the gym. So having a phobia to the gym. And having a discussion with them, I was like, so what is your fear? Like, what's leading to this fear avoidance behavior, right? And what it was is that people will look at me. I'm overweight. I'm not fit. And I was just like, well, actually, I'll take you around the gym and you tell me what you actually see. So I assisted them and I took them for a walk. And it was totally different to what they were expecting, right? And then that had a shift in their mentality in them moving forward. And basically, so I said, so what do you see? And they're like, well, actually, nobody's looking at us at all because everybody's so into themselves. And I was like, yeah, you're 100% correct. And they're like, oh, a lot of people look really fit. And I was like, well, this is the place where you do get fit. So you don't want to have all these external barriers that are limiting you for you starting the journey into health and fitness.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah, I think it takes a bit of time until you realize that no one's looking at you. And yeah, everyone's kind of focusing on their own
journey, on their own
journey. And that's what the gym's all about. The gym or any kind of sort of fitness, if you are thinking of joining the gym, then that's usually the case. Everyone's kind of focusing on themselves. And you've covered a really important topic. And I think in terms of adherence, there's a number of things. I guess we can categorize them into different categories on what leads to adherence or non-adherence. And one of them is what you mentioned as personal factors. There's also environmental factors that could be causing limited adherence. Organizational, societal factors as well. In terms of if we're talking about accessibility, if the environment you're in, here in New Zealand, you've got pretty much anywhere you can go to. We're quite lucky. You've got parks, you've got recreational areas. They're quite easily accessible. Some other countries might not have that and might not be lucky enough to have that.
And on top of that, even organizations, when you talk about organizations there, is that Vector, they even have a health promotional scheme within the company.
So Vector is...
So the Vector Power Company.
I see.
In Auckland. So shout out to them.
Shout out to Vector.
So they have a system there where if you're working for them, you get a grant, like a monetary grant, to use that the way that you see fit. So you may get a trainer. You may use that money to get a trainer. It may go towards a gym membership. And I think what an environment to set people up to pave a way. And that's going to help with what we're talking about with the adherence side.
Well, I think so, absolutely. And the organizational, especially now, you see a lot of workplaces doing lunchtime yoga or Pilates or activity and exercises and doing it as a team. We've done corporate challenges with particular companies and getting them together at a park. Doesn't even have to be a gym. We actually did it in parks and getting them moving together. And that also helps with adherence because you get one or two people in the corporate will spearhead the challenge and the majority of the others initially, let's be honest, they don't want to be there. And at the end of it, they enjoy it, they get so much out of it, and that's the reward.
As long as you can have a catalyst amongst your team.
Absolutely.
Amongst your community. You'll find that it's going to pull everyone through.
Exactly.
Get everyone interested and move forward and stick to it as well.
I like that. And I think for today in this podcast, we're going to specifically be focusing on the personal and the environmental factors. I know we've talked about a little bit more just now, but we're just trying to look at the individual and their environment and how they can make change and how they can instigate it initially.
Well, I'd say, man, sometimes I'll say thanks to Marvin for keeping me accountable because I'm a human. So I don't want to train every hour all the time. Sometimes just tired from family lifestyle, whatever it may be. And that becomes my excuse, right? But then I guess accountability is the willingness to accept responsibility as well and taking that on board, which I think is absolutely key to this health and fitness long-term game.
Accountability is huge. It's huge. Whether you get that from a a health professional or a strength and conditioning coach, a personal trainer or whatever, there's evidence with that being very, very effective, especially with long-term contracts. But you can also have a friend or a family member hold you accountable as well. Okay, whether it's they train with you, because for example, with you and I, Robin, if I told you, you came and told me, Marvin, let's train tomorrow, 7 a.m. We'll hit the gym. And now if I wake up and if it was on by myself, I could be like, I could skip today,
Yeah.
But if I know I wake up and I damn near know you're already there in the gym waiting for me, then that's going to get my ass into gear. Because I think naturally humans hate to let down other people. We're very social beings, and you don't want to let down people you like and people you care about, and or people of higher power, like a health professional. You don't want to let them down, so you tend to stick to the protocol a lot better. And you see that time and time again. A lot of trainings we do, it's usually, I've had people I've trained individually, and their their adherence to exercise was not as good until they brought a friend and they did the team trainings, and they stuck to it so much more. And they hardly missed any exercises or missed any sessions.
It does promote and excel excellence, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Like it brings the numbers up in terms of if you're doing strength training or you run faster, or you'll push beyond your own limitations. And I found that Marvin and I, we've got a mutual friend, Scott Aston.
Oh, shout out Scott! It's a day of shout outs. Shout out Scott.
And he's a trainer as well, and absolutely fantastic in terms of pulling the whole team together when necessary, and in addition to that, also calls you out. So if you're not pushing hard, if you're not getting that extra rep, there's someone there that's also accountable, and that's promoting greater success, not only for us as an individual, but the whole team. So when we were going through those periods where me, Marvin, and Scott were training, all three of us were getting stronger. All three of us were pushing that little bit harder, and each session as well, and would show up. And then what ended up changing as well, personally for me, is that then you stay on top of your nutrition, everything starts to improve, your sleep cycles and everything.
Very, very good point you mentioned, and we will talk about that, something to do with self-efficacy. By improving one aspect of your life will tend to have a massive effect on everything else as well, and you tend to improve. But interesting you mentioned old Scotty boy. But for the majority of the second half of last year, Scott and I decided to train every Friday, and it was interesting. It was really interesting because we trained midday Friday and every Friday, and sometimes I'd wake up on Friday and start working, and I'd be feeling quite tired, quite lethargic, and I know I've got that bastard waiting for me at 12 o'clock to train. If he wasn't there, I reckon quite a few of those, I can remember quite specifically, some Fridays I would have definitely called it. I would have not trained. I would have either had my lunch, done something else, anything but exercise. But knowing that he was going to rock up and he was going to be there, and knowing that he was going to hand it to me if I hadn't been there. And that pushed me, and it was the results were unbelievable.
So you end up having a mind shift change before your actual training session. And that's what I think. So Marvin and I are still working with our people face-to-face contact, training them. And that's what I think they gauge from us. They don't want to not always be there, but they'll still rock up, and we hold them accountable. And we draw out the most from them because we're handing on our expectations of them. So we're holding themselves to a higher standard.
That's it.
And that's what the accountability path is all about. And that's why it's important to have coaches around, have someone holding you to that higher state of yourself.
Absolutely. And it's across the board, the accountability and having someone there to watch over you or just keep you checking your progress, tracking that sort of stuff has Yeah, it works wonders. It really does. And it's such an effective way for you to stick to a task beyond the stages of your initial motivation period.
Yeah.
You know, you get that urge, that excitement that you want change. Motivation is based on emotions, and you can never keep emotions the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Emotions are almost yin and yang. They come in waves. You can't always be happy. It's always going to fluctuate. Okay. So you can't rely on something fluctuating to stick to a particular goal.
Yeah.
Right. But having someone, whether it's a coach or a particular friend who's highly driven to hold you accountable, that's going to drive you in those slumps of motivation.
Yep.
To make sure that you do rock up to exercise, whether you're going for walks, to the gym, whatever it may be.
Yep.
It just makes you stick to the task.
Are we segueing into motivation, or is that later?
We can segue. Well, we'll talk about some of the barriers, because I looked at a few articles. There's a new article that's come in 2023, actually. It's published recently. But I mainly obviously looked at hospital and people coming out of hospital, but also youngsters as well outside of hospitals. Two different researchers I looked at barriers that stop people adhering to exercise. And one of the key things was actually the knowledge of the benefits of exercise, the lack of knowledge of the benefits of the exercise, and also the risks of sedentary behavior or the risk of non-exercise.
Yeah.
You know, and education is a huge thing, you know, and you don't have to be a health professional or anything like that. Now there's so much accessibility to information.
Listen to our podcast.
Yeah. That's why you do a podcast. I mean, like I said, we mentioned earlier, you know, everyone does know that exercise is beneficial for you.
Yep.
But if we go into, sometimes you need to break it down and understand what it's doing and how multifaceted it is. If we're thinking about physical, mental, everything around that, and also the opposite, the sedentary behavior, and what's happening in your body and what's leading you to becoming, having mental health issues or physical issues, diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, stroke, everything in between.
Yeah.
So I think education is such an important role, and sometimes that helps you adhere a lot more. Just knowing why you're doing this, what the purpose is, what it's doing to your health, what it's doing in everything, you know. It's even in terms of relationships and stuff, there's huge benefits to be had. And gaining education, whether it's from a podcast, from a health professional, or you seeking that information yourself, it's highly accessible now. You can just look online, you can look on YouTube. There's so much information on benefits of exercise, and the risks of being sedentary and not doing anything, sitting on the couch all day.
Exactly. But I think a lot of people also feel those effects from not exercising. When you actually start to talk to people that aren't accountable or aren't adhering to their physical performances or any physical activity, they tell you their story. They feel lethargic. They struggle to tie up their shoelaces. They can't go play with the kids.
Yeah.
Some of them that I've worked with even talk about sexual dysfunction. Like, if you can register any of these symptoms, then you have to ask yourself, okay, is this beneficial for me?
Yeah.
If not, what are you willing to change? What are you willing to implement to create those changes? Yeah. People are very smart.
Yeah, absolutely. When they have the knowledge, and if you do have the knowledge, you tend to make the right decisions a lot more often.
Yep.
Okay. The second, moving on to the second barrier that we discussed was lack of stimulation or boredom. Okay. And it's usually when someone tries one form of exercise and they're just not stimulated, and they call all exercise rubbish, you know? They trash everything else. And you know, that we'll talk about the solutions or possible strategies to be that later.
Have you personally gone through any of these phases with boredom?
100%. That's a good question. And I think because we work in a clinic, gym-based environment. And we've been working out from that gym for such a long time now, 3, 4, 5 years.
Going on 5 years.
Going on 5 years now. So it's just such a long time. And you came up with the idea, why don't we just sign up, get a membership to a different gym, change scenery, change the environment, get out of that work environment, because we're still technically at work when we're in that gym. We know everyone who comes in. Everyone's going to talk to us.
We hear the phone ring, we have to answer it.
We have to answer it. We get a client, a new client, we got to talk to them and look presentable. And changing that, it almost lit up a new world. And moving to that new gym, new environment, it was like I had never worked out. Like it was a kid in a playground. You know?
New equipment.
Marvin
and I were getting very excited about the different variations we could do, and that upped our game. That simple act alone.
It honestly did. And that's one example. Simple as changing environment, going from one gym to another. You can even, the same thing with we talked about Scott. I was gymming on my own or with Robin most Fridays, and then Scott came along, training slightly different methods, using different methodologies of training. And that was so exciting all of a sudden. Again. So changing personnel, changing the gym, changing the actual exercise itself. And a lot of people have this fixated image on what exercise is. And the exercise is movement. You can do it in the gym. You can do it outdoors. You can do it at home. You can do it on your own, with your partner, with your kids, with your pet.
What do you think about last year? So Marvin and I went through hypertrophy training, which is gaining muscle size. Would run that for a cycle. Then we'll go through a strength-based cycle. Then we'll go through a power cycle, depending on where we are in our sporting sort of calendar for the year. And then we may repeat that cycle again, or we may go, at the moment, Marvin and I like doing HIIT training. So even that alone adds excitement.
Absolutely.
Differences. But once again, as going back to, we are used to being uncomfortable. So this is where you're indicating like efficacy later on is like we have the benefits. So it goes back to what Marvin was talking about before, is about being uncomfortable. So we're used to it.
And getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. I guess that's the thing. Is the crucial element. But if you are bored or you're lacking stimulation, remember there's plenty different methods of exercise. Change it up, shake things up, move it around. You touched upon body image dissatisfaction and comparison to other individuals, and that's a major barrier. That particular research looked into. It was actually a meta-analysis. But that's a big one. And it's
and that's only one aspect of the fitness game, right? Is that comparison, and that's unfair on people to have that way of thinking, because as you know, me and you feel on top of our game from training, from the vitality side, from the feeling mentally healthy side. Yes, the physical outcomes will come with the hard work that we put in anyway. And if people are only creating that barrier from that one component or that one outcome, I would say you need to shift that mindset. Because that's what the health and fitness game is all about.
Absolutely. And also shifting the mindset, I think what helps, shifting the mindset from the physical and seeing your identity as just this physical figure. You're way more than that.
I never would have started gymming if I based it on that, because I'd be so depressed. Because I look at Marvin, I wouldn't start.
But
I would finish.
It's so easy. There is the front screen. If I open my Instagram, there is 100% chance there's going to be someone with way better physique than me, looking absolutely amazing. And if you're basing your how good of a person or how good of an individual you are on solely your physical appearance, then you can't quit as well. You've got so many values, and no one's perfect. Everyone's got downfalls, and I think looking at the bigger picture and looking at your identity as something so much more than that. It's not the physical at all. It does help, and ease into it. You don't have to go into a very, very, very crowded gym, even though we mentioned no one really pays attention to anything else but themselves. You can start at home. You can start going for walks, doing things in an area you feel comfortable, and making sure that you've got that social support around you, which we'll talk about soon. But that's super, super important. So don't always focus on the physical, and start where you feel comfortable. It can be, I trained in my garage for 4 years, and I loved it, you know? So whether you don't want that, be exposed to that many immediately, to that many people, or that many mirrors, start where you feel comfortable. There's accessibility of exercises literally anywhere. You can be in a 1 square meter, and then you can do quite a lot there. I
would give a recommendation for people that are listening now, is that you can download vitality questionnaires, and I would download one and mark yourself now. Then start your training, and then see what happens on the vitality side, and don't worry about the physical side just yet. Obviously, you'll make that a goal later on, but prioritize and seek, because you can use that as your own sort of subjective, objective outcome measure for people. That's what you want to do, to at least make a start.
Beautiful. I like that. And I like that because I think that's a really good idea, because it takes your mind away from that whole, like, I'm just training to do this. That's
what I do, so I can train with you and Scott.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, start with that. Start
with that. Another barrier is inability to integrate exercise into daily living. And this mainly is
But I only have 24 hours in a day.
I know. And it's usually it is due to time constraints, right? And that's we're going to talk about the possible strategies, and one of the key strategies is make exercise a priority. You know, it's not
good point.
Not even just about you with exercise, because if you are bettering yourself as a human being, and exercise is going to better you physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, you know, you're going to be a better partner, you know, you're going to be a better father, mother, daughter, whatever it may be. You know, people around you, you're going to be able to support people around you a lot more, being in that healthy mental state as well. So why not make it a priority if it's got all those benefits, you know, and make the time. And there is always time. There's always time, you know. There can be some weeks where you're completely flooded, but don't come to me and say, I am flat out for this half a year. You'll find time.
You just, when you're talking about you become a better partner, that sort of resonated. And just thinking about, you know, when things happen in life, and then I'll go train, it's a noticeable difference of how I feel when I come back home. And the kids could be playing up, and I'm like, chill. I'm like, don't worry, all good. Like, they could smash window, no problem. You know what I mean? Like, it does have a huge positive effect. And I go through that every week.
Yeah.
When I train, all good.
It's amazing.
If I don't come around me.
Yeah. And especially with us as well, I think it's layered even more than that with us, because if you are used to exercising, and exercise is a behavior that you have adapted and it's part of your life, as soon as you don't exercise or you stop, you slack off, like it's not part of your plan. It's not like, for example, I'm resting this week, so I'm not going to exercise. That's completely separate. Yep. But if it's things happen, things get in the way, you don't exercise, you automatically, your mindset switches to the negative quite instantly.
Yep.
You know, and I'm not a nice person to be around when that happens. I'm terrible, you know, because I don't have that green tick on my day. Whereas I know I could have had it, you know, you were tired a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Things got in the way, but I knew I could have had it. And
so you know the outcome, and then you make it a priority.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's almost, I guess.
Well, everyone can schedule in their diary, right? A lot of people have Outlook. They can link or sync their diaries, no problem. Get the notification. Yeah. Make it a priority. Before
the year gets too jam-packed with work, social things, and everything else in between, start scheduling it in. Because if you start scheduling it riding at a particular time, it works. There's a good example you brought up. Last year, I was rubbish in mobility. I said I'll do it. I said I'd do it.
I think I've got photo evidence. Just
Should we
comment.
put it up? We'll try to find it and put it up.
I'll find it. I'll see if I can find it. If not, I'll take a new one.
And I've hit 30s. I've hit my 30s now.
Whoa.
And it's this year I said I need to be more mobile, and I need to pay more attention to it, because in terms of other aspects, in terms of exercise, strength training, even in terms of meditation and things, I'm quite good. Mobility is definitely played second fiddle to everything else. So I have scheduled in my diary Thursday mornings, Sunday nights. Okay, Sunday nights I've already scheduled and held Ellie, my partner. Shout out to Ellie. I've held her accountable. I have to do a class with her. And Thursday morning, I start later on Thursdays. Thursday morning, it's usually after football training from Wednesday night. I'm doing mobility that day, and that's on my own. Brilliant. I've written it on my diary, and that's up until the 23rd of December, 2023. So, and it's helped. I've been, starting from this year, I started a little bit from December, but I've continued on from the holidays period, and I've stuck to it. So we'll see how that, I'll let you know how that goes. But putting things in your diary and as a part of your schedule, and they don't take long, guys. Like, fit them in, even if it's a 30-minute pocket, you can fit it in, make it work, prioritize exercise.
And priority means if you put into your schedule, you make everything else work around that.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to do your stretching at 6 p.m. and somebody says, let's go to dinner at 6 p.m., you say, no, I'll do 7:30. Or we can eat at 3 p.m.
Beautiful.
You do not change your commitments.
Absolutely. With the exception of health and things like that get in the way, obviously, of family reasons. But definitely prioritize it above, day-to-day activities, or let's go out for lunch, or do you want to go to a gig at this time and stuff like that?
Yep.
Make it a priority. And if you are willing, you really need to do something, try to shift it before you delete it completely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Really, really nice one. The big one, which we touched on, is lack of social support or non-supportive household habits.
Yes, we've both worked with, unfortunately, those environmental factors.
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's not easy.
Not easy.
And I can definitely, for those of you that, if you're the one person in a household of 4, as an example, that want to get your health on track, and the other 3 in your household don't, we understand that is very, very challenging, and that could be a potential barrier for you. However, it would be important to take care of yourself, because you are the most important individual. So I think if you've got that in mind, it's important to have those discussions with your household or your peers that are living with you, and make them understand that this is the goal you want to accomplish. And then if they can facilitate and get them on board to also help with those changes, because if no one else is doing it, it's going to be very challenging for you. Yeah. That's understandable.
Absolutely. And it can be difficult to some individuals, especially if if you don't have that social support. It's not easy just to tell you find it. You can seek. That's a good time to seek professional advice, or from a trainer or a health professional, a strength and conditioning coach. That way you can be held accountable, and that way it's an easy way, because you're kind of set up for it if you don't have that structure at home. I've stayed in flats, especially during my university days. I remember flatting with a particular fella in Hamilton, and every time I come back from work, he'll be sitting down drinking soju. And this guy was an amazing storyteller, man. Like, great to hang around. Like, so much. The perfect environment you want to be in after work. You're tired. You come back. He's sitting, drinking soju. And he just pours a glass and he's like, oh, sit down. And I've got gym. I need to go to the gym. I've got stuff to do. But it's so easy. so easy. And I did fall into that trap a lot of the times.
Wow.
It's right there, and he's great to be around, and it's fun, and especially after a long day. I was working in hospital in the stroke unit back then, so stressful job and stuff. You want to kind of unwind, and a nice soju sitting there, and it's just like, man, I gotta go to the gym. I remember once I had a drink with him. And I got my mate to take me to the gym. We went to the gym and trained anyway. Horrible training session, but just tried to break that habit. But it's not easy.
Did you realize you got into the habit though?
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't so much of a habit. My habit was still exercising.
Yeah.
But it was a barrier. It was easy. It was there. It's like, I'm starving. There's chocolate here. Or I can get a acai bowl just across the road.
Yep.
I'd eat the chocolate because I'm just starving. So it was kind of like that. I'm just wanting to unwind and relax, and you open the door, there's this beautiful man with soju sitting there, and
welcoming, comfortable chair.
and then all of a sudden the gym is a few more kilometers further away.
Man, that sounds like you needed to go straight from your hospital work, your shift, straight to the gym.
Straight to the gym, and that's you've got to find those strategies around it, and if you can't change the person, it's best to kind of pull away from it, or trying to set up a strategy that you're going to bypass that, and I think like going to the gym straight from work, or I think just making a rule, for example, soju's only on this day. And you lock it into your schedule. That's it. At least it's something you can be like, oh, okay, no, this is not the day to do this. It's the day to train.
Training prioritizes right now.
Soju
will be Friday night.
Soju will be Friday night. And in terms of social support, if you do join that environment, whether it's a gym, whether it's a class, whether it's a group of friends and stuff, once you get into that fitness environment, you're going to meet people who are super supportive. You're going to meet people who are going to help you, hold you accountable, push you, someone to talk to with a positive, with the same mindset as you have. So the hardest part is actually jumping in initially. Once you're there, you're going to create a new circle of people who are going to help you create better habits and healthier lifestyle goals, I guess.
The circle of influence is very powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. The other thing is, interestingly, availability of another barrier is availability or lack of availability of progress information and monitoring. Which we talk about accountability and stuff like that. So if you or diaries, or writing progress, or like you said, filling out questionnaires,
or doing our girth measurements and taking your regular photos every 4 weeks when we ask for them.
Please, guys. Please.
Give us access so we can see the progress.
Please.
Everyone. Or lack of progress, so then we can be on you.
Yeah, all you guys on the LNT program, please send us girth measurements.
Yes. Goodness.
But it's interesting because, especially with exercise, man, because it's not overnight, and you do it for a week, 2 weeks, you look in the mirror, and you're like, man, nothing changed. And, us humans, we like to see progress quite immediately for us to stick to something or to be motivated. And if it's not there, that's when the demotivation occurs. That's when you fall out of things. But taking images, taking measurements, filling out questionnaires, which are accessible all over for free, all over online, those things are going to help you stay motivated and stay driven towards your goal. It's almost like a reminder, like I was here, look how far I've come. And by the way, sometimes you're going to get major body compositional changes physically, and you look in the mirror and you don't actually see those until you actually look in an image and put it next to the image you had 6 weeks ago. You will not see it. You will not see it at all, because it's such a gradual build-up. It's almost like, when you check out a photo, I looked at a photo of me 3-4 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't have that wrinkle there. Like, I didn't even notice. I look quite different. My face, it was a bit smoother. It was a bit of a bit of a difficult. Yeah, I had a bit of crisis. But you don't notice it, you really don't. And it's like, I look exactly the same. But now, then you look at all photos and you're like, oh no, I've got 256 more white hairs on my beard.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is the same with the physical changes from training.
Absolutely. So take those photos, keep them to yourself. You don't need to send them to us. Keep them to yourself, and have a specific file on your phone, just to go back into it and just look at them and appreciate your work and the progress you've made.
Yep.
So that's a really good one. And now we get to competence and self-efficacy as being a barrier. And you mentioned that before. It's if you have the confidence in yourself, confidence that you are able to adapt and take up a new habit or a behavioral change, the likelihood of you changing is much, much higher, much greater. If you're lacking self-confidence, and whether it's within that physical realm or anywhere else in life, that will have a take-on effect, or carry-on effect. It will carry over to the physical realm as well.
Yep. And if anybody has embedded like negative seeds to make you less confident, you need to tackle that head on as well.
Yeah.
Maybe discuss with a professional about that and see where it actually occurred from that's leading to the behavior that you're currently undergoing now. And that's going to help with having that behavioral mind shift to get you on track to, first of all, love yourself and then want to make those changes to build a confident efficacy towards health and fitness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look at it as a whole picture, guys. Don't think about improving health and fitness. Try bettering yourself as a person. And it sounds huge and it sounds cliche, but literally it can be as little as making a little bit more effort into the way you dress, how you prepare yourself in the morning, saying good morning to your spouse, just doing those small incremental changes, making the bed, cleaning the dishes. Just small steps like that will have a huge carry-on effect in other aspects of life. Because you'll feel like more accomplished. You'll feel like you're actually making these small changes. You're like, I was able to make these changes. So it's got that carry-on. The mind works like that, and it's amazing that it works that way. The opposite is also true. If you slack off on one thing, you're like, what's the purpose of this? What's the point? And the opposite is true. So don't just look at it into that. Just try bettering yourself at home, at work, small changes. Try to do a little bit of extra. Take initiative, do that extra work.
Man, I like Kirk Ashley's saying. So he's a peak performance specialist, I guess you can call him.
Yeah.
And his motto is either evolve or dissolve. And I love that because that just holds you accountable. Like you were saying, the small progressions that you can implement to your life, and it doesn't have to be daily, but it should be frequent, can make tremendous changes at the end game.
Yeah.
It's like flying. What is it? If you're 1 degree out from, like when you depart, you won't actually reach your destination.
You'll be way off. Yeah.
You're going to be way off on that journey, and that's what life's about. This is a very long journey.
Yeah, that's amazing. It is about creating small incremental changes. And in the long run, if you're improving by 0.5% each week, in the long run, that is going to be huge. That's going to be very, very drastic. And
compounding interest.
Compounding interest. Atomic Habits, a great book life as well to read about that. It is compounding interest. Absolutely. And one thing feeds off another. One realm, the mental realm, feeds off the physical off, the mental. So, take those small steps, simple, just get that tick. And keep moving forward. You'll see huge, huge changes, especially in your self-confidence and your ability to accomplish tasks. That's all it is. It really is. Your ability to accomplish tasks. And if you feel confident in your ability to do that, you're going to stick to something a lot more frequently.
Or should we get into some strategies just to help?
Yeah.
So this is where I think get a pen and paper.
Yeah.
Maybe make some notes here if you possibly can. because we're about to give you some strategies to help you for your 2023 year.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the strategies is goal setting, right? Right, and goal setting and being realistic with your goals. Okay, so choose. If you're doing the exercise, if you're like, man, I'm definitely not a morning person, but I'm planning on gymming 5 days a week at 5 a.m. Don't do that. Okay, just because you watched the Bruce Lee quote, like a video of his quotes, you're like, man, I'm gonna be like water. I'm just gymming. Be realistic. Do what's gonna work.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're super busy, you've just had a newborn child, things like that, just be like 30 minutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's it for now. And then I will go back to my goal and see how I can readdress it and correct it. And every 4 to 6 weeks, you should be doing that anyway, because it holds you accountable. Where was I? What do I need to do differently? Where did I fall?
Yep.
And keep making small tweaks and changes within those goals. And the important thing is be quite as accurate as you can with your goals.
Yep.
As far as
detailed,
and use it from past experience. Just be like, if your goal is going for walks, and you need to write down what you're going to do on a very rainy day. Don't be like, rainy days, I'm not going to do this. You need to set up a plan. So if things don't go right, if you've got any contingencies in the way, you need to set up plans or plan Bs so you don't fail. Make it a very, very good goal. So if you can't do the walk, I'm going to do a quick 15 to 30 minute high intensity interval training session at home in front of the TV or in front of my phone so I can get that done, So, yeah, plan and be as accurate as you can with your plan. And it's fun just to go to a cafe, write these down and make this plan and try to make it as bulletproof as you can.
Make sure you make your plan in accordance to your goals. So don't make the goal and think it's magically going to happen. You need to set your goal, then work backwards and think, okay, so what plan do I need to action to reach that target?
Absolutely. And it's important to reflect back, I think, on that goal, like we mentioned. If you're like Robin and I, we got a little bit tired of our setting, and when you go back and redirect that goal, you're like, it's quite unlikely for me to continue for the next upcoming 6 weeks with the same pattern without me falling off.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new stimuli. Okay. Something that's not going to make me as bored. Something's going to lighten me up and keep me focused. So whether it's change of gym or I'm tired of strength training weights. I might do a little bit more HIIT, a little bit more cardio focused, or change things up. Or I might try gymming with my partner for 2 days a week. Keep readdressing that goal. The plan is to stick to exercise and stick to a healthy lifestyle. The plan is not to stick to a gym.
Yeah. So the goal's the same, the strategy changes.
Absolutely. I like that. Yeah. Evolve or dissolve.
Yeah. I love that. That's been my saying for a good decade now.
Yeah.
Or more.
The other strategy is social support, which we talked about. It is one of the barriers, so we need to address it. Okay. And if you've got good social support around you, fantastic. If you've got 3 alcoholic flatmates, find a trainer.
Yep. Yep.
I think, find that professional advice. Invest in yourself. Don't, if you're spending money on coffees, dinners, alcohol, don't be worried about spending, a particular amount on a trainer or on doing a fitness app like LNT. Just invest in it, just because it's in the long run, it's going to make a huge difference, way more than paying money for drinks and doing all this and getting,
You can't do much from a hospital bed.
Yeah. How many you can get? You can get Netflix, Disneyland, Disney, is that what it is?
Disney
Channel?
Disney Plus, yep.
Disneyland. Disney Channel,
Neon,
and there's another one, Prime. I know some people, I've got some clients who've got all four. That's like over $100 a month.
But that's a lot of TV.
On TV.
Their
And then you got Fight Pass and everything like that.
Yep.
So it all adds up, guys. So invest in yourself.
Make yourself a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether it's a trainer or an app or whatever it is that's going to help you drive and be held accountable and be motivated, do it. Do that. That's a really good strategy. What else have we got here?
Right, for long-term success. Any good strategies there?
Long-term success. I think having long-term contracts is really good.
Yes. Because you can write one for yourself.
Yeah.
That you sign off. Yeah. And then get your friend to sign off. And even so, with my goals, my brother asked me to email him. Yeah. My goals. So he keeps me accountable in life. Same with the contract. Very good year in, year out.
Yeah.
Have that contract. Oh, yeah, Marvin, what are you doing? Yeah, okay, so this is your contract. You wrote it. I'll keep you accountable and you keep yourself accountable.
I love that. That is wicked. And I'm that's awesome.
That will create such good long-term success in this game. Yeah.
It does. And whether it's with friends or whether it's with trainers in the physical industry or fitness industry, setting up contracts or doing that in advance, or for the first quarter, doing it quarterly or whatever it is, that's such a nice accountability feature to it. Because again, you don't want
to your fridge.
Yeah.
So every time you wake up and you make your very healthy LNT breakfast, you can read your contract.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's right there in front of your face. And I like the fact that you did it with your brother, because you're like, man, I told him. I can't let him. What is he going to think of me?
Well, you let the other person down. You let yourself down.
Exactly. Yeah. And we are so social like that. You're like, man, I told that person I'm going to do that. Yep. I got to make some moves. And then long-term contracts work so well.
Write it up write it up for yourself.
Yeah.
Share it.
The other good one is combining, hitting two birds with one stone. It's combining family time, for example, with exercise. Oh, if you've got time constraints.
Danny from Nexus Barbershop.
Shout out, Danny.
Shout out to him.
Shout out for the fades as well.
Thank you.
And
but you know what he did?
What?
So he, with his cousins, aunties, mum, dad, because they came through and we trained them on one occasion. Every week, the whole family gets together. They play basketball. They'll play different sports. They'll go out walking together, do a hike, come to the gym. It's the best environment. And you know what? I think the whole family, and obviously Danny will know, but I think the whole family stuck to it for over a year.
How
everybody is healthy, good vitality. Everyone's in shape.
Good
everyone's
relations.
Feeling good.
Yeah.
And it brought them closer together.
It brings you closer. How cool is that, man?
Yeah.
Shout out Danny.
Yeah,
you
Danny,
got it right,
Nexus
man.
Barbershop.
Not just fades, but also lifestyle habits.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's amazing, man. And it's all with your partner. Like now, every Sundays, I'm doing this mobility session with Ellie, and that's amazing. We hold each other accountable. But I'm doing, I'm spending quality time with my partner. At the same time, I'm getting some exercise. I'm getting some mobility with it as well.
Yeah.
Same with catching up with friends. Instead of let's catch up for a drink, for a beer, or whatever it is, do something. Let's go for a walk. Let's have a coffee, go for a walk.
Yep.
Let's go to the beach, play football, tennis, whatever it is.
Yep.
Set up, hit two birds with one stone. Dates is the same thing. Set up an active date. Yep. Don't just do movies and
one of my mates does rock climbing
on dates.
Yep, that's his thing.
That's hardcore.
That's his thing because he wants to screen and make sure that individual is strong and healthy.
Oh, like first dates.
Yeah.
So first date,
Rock climbing.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, let's go rock climbing.
That's character. Like you're going to be exposed as a character.
Yeah. Well, are you willing to do it? Will you put yourself into that uncomfortable position? So
that's your first date. You get your date to climb, and you're
rock
just
climb.
inspecting and making mental notes.
Yep.
And you're like, nah, this is not the not the one.
It's not my person.
Yeah. Or it is. Yeah.
Yep.
She got
Yep.
She can man, that's
so that's Yep, there's many instances you can put yourself into a catch-up situation around health and fitness.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Or even, even if it's a coffee, go for a walk, have a coffee, go for a walk, or do something like that. Catch up in the gym, and then from the gym go and grab lunch. It's such a nice habit and such a way of combining, exercise with that social aspect.
Well, think about as a kid, what did you do when you caught up with your friends? You play on the trampoline, you may do a water fight, you go for a bike ride. And who has the most energy? Kids.
Absolutely.
Why? Because they're always moving.
No brainer.
You know why we changed? Because people sit on the couch for hours and do podcasts. That's why.
That's where we went wrong. And the other thing is we talked about it already is that self-efficacy and making small incremental improvements. But we'll touch upon it, and we will highlight that aspect. It's not just about improving one thing, but it's improving everything.
Yep.
And taking doesn't have to be big changes, but write them down. I need to make the bed. I will clean the house on these days. I will do this, that. Pick up a new role, a new thing, help out someone at work, dress better, make sure you do your hair every morning.
Yep.
Try to look more presentable. You never know who you're going to run into. But all those small things are premium for you to make, for those to account for much larger change in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
We talked about making exercise a priority as well. Do not, put it low in the priority list. Keep it super high. It's your health. And probably it's got a lot to play with the health of your family and your relationship with your kids, with your spouse, and everyone around you.
Your engagement with the world.
Yeah, your engagement, even at work. At work, if you've been slack and you don't regard yourself as a valuable human being at that time, it's very unlikely that you're going to be treating those around you as valuable human beings. Yep. Man, that's nice. Powerful quote.
That's nice. Write that down.
Et al. 2023.
Fantastic. Well, I hope everybody got some insightful strategies.
Yeah.
The reason why you want to fulfill physical activity as part of your lifestyle, how to adhere, what that means for you, prioritize yourself, set your goals, make a plan, action that plan, and see what the end of the year looks like, and repeat year after year after year.
Beautiful. No better words said. Thank you for hanging out with us in this hybrid podcast, and sitting with us on the couch and having a chat. We'll see you shortly. Over and out.
Nice.